Hey Cancer, it's Empress Rose here. Welcome to your reading. These are general readings, so we're going to take what works and leave what doesn't, as with everything in life. And if I don't catch your wavelength or storyline on this reading, go check your other major placements. And please also hit the like button, the thumbs up, and the subscribe button. That's very helpful and helps other people find my channel. And yeah, we're going to start with these oracle cards here. This is Moonology and Work Your Light oracle cards, and then we'll move on to the Muse tarot for a more traditional tarot reading. This is my first week working with the Muse tarot on my channel. I bought it a long time ago, did not connect with it, and then suddenly this week it said pick me, and I connected it on a couple personal readings this week and quite a bit, so we're trying it out for the generals. All right, a bunch of Work Your Light cards. I don't know what to do with this. This was sitting in the opposite direction. Everything else is face down, and this was face up on one of the 3 stacks I made here. And it's Prosperity Lies Ahead. We're going to take it. Prosperity Lies Ahead, New Moon in Taurus. Something happening here, something coming together in the real world. Taurus is an earth sign, so I think we can expect to see something coming into fruition, coming into the real world. Align your life. What's not aligned or needs to change. So you need to make some kind of change. Something needs to be shifted, changed. Maybe just your perspective, maybe just your understanding. A psychological shift or change is what this card always represents to me. So a shift in our perspective, a shift in how we're dealing with things, a shift in how we see things. We have mirror here. Who or what is triggering you? So sort of what you see is what you get. It's a little bit of a Rorschach blotch in this life. What we project, I mean, there's a sense of seeing the truth, because there is truth, it does exist. But there's also a sense of more oftentimes what we're seeing is a projection of our own self, is motivations in other people's behaviors that are our motivations, or what we would be feeling if we did something like that, not taking into account what they feel when they're doing something like that and where they're coming from. So you might need to shift your perspective on something, shift how you're interpreting something in your life, how you're understanding and interpreting something in your life. Because what you are seeing, if you don't like it, is just a reflection of your fears, of your worries, of your fears and worries. And then Imrama, where are you being called to journey to? So this could actually be like actually taking a trip, which we're not supposed to be doing right now, just a little reminder, and or just going to a sacred place. Dreaming. This could be envisioning something, trying to vision something, trying to vision a dream that you have. And it's something about changing your perspective with the probability that there's something that's going to be coming into reality, but you need to change your perspective. You need to change your projections, what you're projecting onto the situation. And what are you being called to journey to? Sort of visioning. Asking yourself that, like, what is my vision? Do I have a vision? I wanted to say, do you know what you want? But that always has this really concrete thing. And there is something here that does suggest that this does need to be a concrete desire. But with this Prosperity Lies Ahead. But there is something else where it doesn't need to be concrete. Like, what do you want? I want to be happy. Okay. That's actually quite a bit of work, but you can do it without having the concrete, without your life looking a very specific certain way that you think is going to make you happy. Because life will always be not precisely what we ordered, not precisely what we wanted. It's a choice then to be happy with what is, instead of always asking life to be something else. Because it's never going to be exactly the thing that we think makes us happy. And even if it is, it probably won't. So there's some sort of perspective here, some sort of thing that you're seeing that's not... you need to shift your perspective here. You might be projecting onto reality something, your fears, your worst fears. So I think one way that we are being asked to correct for that is to think about what you do want instead of what you don't want. And what you do want could be theoretical. It could be just to be happy. Oh, shit. Okay. We have Temperance, taking some rough edges off of some things. This is, so this is part of the overall intuitive vibe here. Mixing extremes, bringing them together, meeting something halfway. Something being a little less intense. Maybe you just need to dial down your intensity here. There's a sense of mirroring also with these two here. Two extremes. Maybe that's the mirror. What's triggering you? Something's upsetting you, and it needs to just be, what do you want? What do you want? I'm going to guess you want to be happy. You want to feel good about your life. That's choices that you make. But yeah, there's something here that needs to be, the rough edges need to be sanded down a little bit, smoothed over. Okay. And then we're going to move on to our more traditional tarot spread here with the Muse. All right, Cancer, this is your past, your present. I'm going to move that around. Your past, your present, your inner landscape, what's at issue, your environment, your to-do list, and your possible outcome. So normally I'm like, there are no mistakes in tarot, and there are none, but I was holding the deck upside down. So I get to have some say here too. I'm not just a receptacle. I'm also an active participant. All right, we have in your recent past, so one of the things with this deck is that they changed the names all around. So one thing, so that creates a little glitch in my mind. One thing that can do is open up a more intuitive reading. So I'm saying like it's a more traditional reading, traditional tarot spread, but because I don't always connect with the name, I do take a more intuitive route here sometimes. It is very different. This is why I didn't like it before, is it was just too confusing to try to transpose everything and put everything in different ways. But once I accepted sort of the chaos of the situation, I feel okay now with using it. So in a recent past, 5 of emotions. So grief, sorrow, sadness, but it's melting away. You're in some sort of grief process where something that's been very painful is now sort of been something that's been very sharp. So I'm getting this Temperance vibe here. Something's been very sharp and rough and being sanded down, smoothed over. So something that's been very sharp is letting go, is releasing into a more relaxed state, is some sort of very painful thing is sort of, I feel like, melting, changing shape, changing what normally the 5 of emotions is a grief process, being very focused on what's been lost and what you don't have, and not quite yet ready to emotionally move on to what you do have. In this card, the way this 5 of emotions is coming up is with this, there's always a flow here. So there's something that's been rigid, that is a rigid sort of maybe stuck feeling, feeling stuck and feeling maybe stuck in a grief process or stuck in some place very painful. In the recent past, it started to melt, started to flow, started to be more of the flow of life and less a stuck, rigid, negative space of pain, which it looks like where you were at was a stuck, rigid place of pain and grief where nothing was really moving and it was all very sharpish and hurty-ish. And then it's starting to melt and starting to get back into the flow of healing, back into the flow where things are meant to flow. There's always a real flow vibe, water under the bridge, and allowing that water to move. It got frozen, it got stuck, but now we're moving and it's flowing along into the sea. So that's in your recent past. You've had some sort of locked, frozen, emotional situation that's now starting to flow and starting to breathe, come back to life and welcoming life back. So in your current situation, you have this 4 of materials. You're very or somebody here, there's something that's very absorbing, very enchanting in your environment. Maybe there's been sort of this desert that you've been through, and now you're in this like new space of lushness, and you're just sort of enchanted with this new growth, this new flow, maybe some new ideas. Some new foreign materials would typically be a work, very focused on work. So you just have a new focus right now, and it's very absorbing. It's not. It's a new focus. It's an absorbing new focus, and it's fascinating and grabbing your attention and almost helping you forget this past where things were blocked and painful, and now we've gotten back into the flow, and we've sort of left this desert, and now we're very absorbed by something very. It feels very good. This work feels very good. This, in this deck, it's the materials have a gardener vibe. It's a rose gardener, right? So you're very into your rose garden right now, very much into your rose garden, a little overindulgent in, you might be fussing over your roses a little much, but it's compared to where you've been here, it's beautiful. In your inner landscape, you have the Knight of Materials here. So you could be thinking about some sort of communication, maybe even something you read, something you've started to understand, and you're starting to get a vibe, an idea of where this is all going, how there's a lot of materials here. So you could be dealing with, and then with this prosperity lies ahead coming out so unusually, you could be dealing with something in reality, something that's manifesting in reality here. But this Knight of Materials, you might be hoping for a message, wanting for a message or a plan, or starting to be able to see where something's going. This is what you're hoping for, or maybe you're afraid of it, but I really think that you're hoping for it. It's on your mind. You're really interested in something, and you're hoping to observe a pattern, see something grow and emerge from that, of the same ilk, of the same type. You're hoping to continue this Four of Materials, whatever you've become very interested in and very fascinated by, you're hoping to continue it. And you're really thinking about sort of the future of this. Where does this go? How does this ripple out? How does this affect other parts of my life? How is this going to, will it always be like this? I think you just have questions about the plan for the future, and you might be wanting to communicate about, in a way, where is this going? Like if this was an emotional relationship thing that we're talking about, I'd say, you had a bad breakup or a bad loss that you were kind of stuck in. And now things are starting to flow, and you're very much in love or becoming very infatuated with something. That's what the Four of Materials is. It's infatuation. You're very infatuated with something, and you'd like to see where it's going. It could be that could be a metaphor for, we could be talking about a work situation, anything like that. You want to see where something's going. You want to know what the plan is, where it's going. You might be worried. You might be afraid to ask. You might hope that someone else takes the initiative and brings that in and lets you know what their plan is, something like that. What's at issue, or the things that we're dealing with, is this Knight of Inspiration. So here is our Knight of Inspiration. We have another Knight, and it's actually night at this night. But not feeling very inspired. No one's coming forward with this. You may be looking for some sort of communication about the future, some sort of future plan, what's going on, what can I count on? And it's really not coming in here. There's no message. There's no information coming in. Or there could just be no, I feel like there's no inspiration. There's no communication about where this is going. That's why it's funny that these are next to each other, because they basically mean the same things. You're hoping for some sort of vision, some sort of communication about a vision, about a long-reaching plan, and there's no communication going on here. The Knight of Wands is going to be moving very fast, very quickly, and this is not moving fast. This is not moving quickly. There are no fireworks going off here. Yeah, you might be a little infatuated with some sort of new ideas, maybe a new job, maybe a new degree program or something like that, but there's just not there's not the fast movement that you're wanting for. And this is really interesting because this is Temperance, and Temperance would be bringing together the fast and the slow, smoothing that out, smoothing those two things out between fast and slow, and the plan and the impulsive action. There's no impulsivity here. We are lacking impulsivity in this situation. There could be some overthinking, but our night of inspiration is going to come in and really change things, some sort of communication that really changes things, but that's not happening. There's not that that sudden communication. I just saw the clock is 2:22, and that's interesting because I never look at the clock while I'm doing this, so it definitely caught my attention. So if that's an important message for somebody, well, that could be your night of inspiration coming in with a message. So, but that would be the nights where are going to be communications, brave communications. Maybe no one's being really brave here, but definitely no one's being rash here. Could the situation use a little rashness? Possibly, because we've got this temperance card here where we need to like move from overthinking things, over planning things, to a little bit, maybe a little bit of rash behavior. You're certainly infatuated with something, and it would, in my experience, lead to some rash behavior. But we're not seeing that. We're seeing overthinking. And so in what's going on around you, what's going on? What could it be? What's going on around you? The world. The world's going on around. The world is moving on. The world is shifting. The world is changing. Seasons are changing. This is the world cosmos. And it's just about basically the flow of life and things changing and being in the flow and just the constant movement, the constant flow and change of the world. And so things are changing. Things that you both see and things that you do not see are changing here. Both spiritual, emotional things are changing, as well as just the material aspects of the world. So, I mean, what's interesting is we have this like going from a frozen, painful place to a more flow and more life. And then what I'm seeing here is now your environment's really asking you or making it very clear that we are flowing now. Now things really are flowing. In the past they were frozen, but now things are flowing. Things are changing, both seen and unseen. You may not be aware of all the changes going on in other people's lives, all the changes going on, at a corporate level or at a government level. You may not be aware of all of that, all of the changes, but they are happening, and the world is always changing and always shifting. So there's something in your environment, a big cycle moving through, new beginnings, endings, all of that. So big changes, basically, is what the world card is. It's a change of seasons. And then we have, your to-do list is Muse of Voices. Yeah, this is one of those ones where I'm like, I need an interpreter. This is not what I'm used to. So it just is... seeing clearly in a fair and balanced way that benefits all. At the beginning I was talking about there is truth to be had, and that's exactly what this is. This Muse of Voices, this would be our King of Swords. There's truth to be had. It comes from both sides, both areas. That's not always true. The truth can't come from both sides when one person is literally lying and trying to lie. And the truth can meet in some middle ground, maybe more towards one or towards the other, when both people are attempting to tell the truth. But it doesn't meet halfway in the middle between someone trying to tell the truth and someone trying to lie. So just wanted to clarify that. There is truth available here, though. A true understanding, very good ideas, sharp ideas, clear ideas coming together. There is going to be an ability to see both sides. There's both harshness and compassion, right? The Muse of Voices is going to be dealing with both the brutal truth and the gentling circumstances around that truth, the compassion, the grace. So we're dealing with both basically in equal measure. It's a very balanced view of ideas, communication. This is communication, and it's going to be very balanced. We have this with temperance, balancing things out, and we have this with this Knight of Materials and this Knight of Inspiration. We're going to get these guys back in balance so that we're not overthinking and not acting. So the Muse of Voices the voices are about communication, obviously. And the Muse is going to be the master communicator. And there's going to be some really good, clear, balanced, fair communication. It might be intuitive in some regard. But it leads you, it provides clarity where there hasn't been any. So this is your to-do list, really, your to-do list. It's in the to-do list slot. So you're bringing in communication. But you're balancing the plan with the inspiration, the plan with the brash action. You are being called to bring in a lot of balance with this clear and clarity. So you want to know where the plan is? You want to know where this is going? I think you provide that. And I think you communicate that. Where this is going. And you bring in some diverse elements of a plan and a rash action. And where you're going. Possible outcome. Page of materials. Oh, I love it. Learning how to, this is materials, right? This is our rose gardener. Learning how to grow something. Having the vision and starting to learn how to bring that vision into reality. So you can see it, you feel it, it's bringing something that's in your mind into reality, but the page is going to be just learning about that, just starting to understand something. So you're going to start to understand and see how you can bring this idea into reality and make it happen. And that's a little bit of this new moon in Taurus card that I'm seeing, is this new inspiration or this new understanding of how to make something happen in reality, how to bring it into the 3D world. But it's going to take communication. It's going to take a clear, balanced, fair communication from you. And you initiate that. You're in charge of that. Okay. All right. Whew. This is the night of inspiration gotten up right here. We are charging forward into the spring. This is our yak. Our yak's a little wild. Blessing bestowed. There is no end to the Divine Mother's ingenuity and grace. No obstacle can obstruct her generosity and protection. So get used to the feeling of the joy of knowing something truly precious is going to unfold in your life. Nurture that feeling like you would the readiness for spring in your heart when winter is upon you. You know it is coming and you anticipate it with such pleasure. I feel like that's a little bit of what we were talking about. Some of the keys to manifesting of just anticipation and being happy with where you're at. Knowing with faith that something's going to change, something's moving here, something's moving forward, and you are going to figure something out. But you do need to initiate some sort of communication and some sort of communicate very clearly your ideas. All right, Cancer. I hope that was helpful for you. Thank you so much for your likes, subscribes, and comments. I very much appreciate them.